So now we want the robot to turn left and right depending on the light reflected from the sensor. For this, I want to introduce our last block. It is called the if block. Let me use it in code, and we can then try and read it together. I'm going to explain everything that I'm doing, but first I want to construct the code. It's almost ready. I will need your help to complete it though, so pay attention. Let's focus on reading it together, but let's focus on the if block only. If the color sensor value is below the threshold, do drive with steering, else drive with a different steering. Can you read it? Can you see this? Is it making any sense? Write in the chat box if you think you know what you are seeing. Give me the thumbs up so I can move on. Or ask questions. I love questions. Using Blockly is very similar to pseudocode. It's like reading the code in almost native language. I will read it again. This block asks if this condition is met, meaning if the color sensor is below the threshold value, meaning it is on the floor, then do this. Else, meaning if this condition is not met, do something else. Going back to our presentation, we wanted to turn left when we see the floor, turn right when we see the line. If we take this and put it in a more code-like way, then if the right sensor value is below the threshold, meaning we see the floor, turn left. And if it is not below the threshold, meaning it's equal or higher, then turn to the right. I want to explain a little additional something about the if. It is taken from the control flow category, where we have the loops. And it is very similar to loop in structure, but has completely different functionality. And it is important to pay attention. Loops repeat a set of instructions. The if command will not repeat a set of instructions. It will run it only once. This code that we've written here will run only once. It will run this part of the code if this condition is met, and this part of the code if this condition is not met. The condition itself is just in the same structure as we did for the while loop. The great thing about the if block is that we can add this else functionality to it. We can do it by clicking this setting icon, and dragging else in the preview into the code itself. Now we can add to the else another set of instructions. Since the if block is not running in loop, and we want to constantly see what is going on, we need to repeat this loop. And we will get to it shortly. By putting the if in the loop, we can constantly ask the same question, but act differently each time depending on the answer, depending on this condition. So, if our condition is light value below the threshold value, meaning we are over the floor, we would like to turn our robot to the left. Do you remember how we turn to the left? What steering value do I need to turn the robot to the left? Let's see if you can remember. All right, excellent. I can see that you remember. Turning left requires a negative value. I will put in 30. We may need to tweak it later. So while the color sensor is below the threshold value, meaning the reflection is below 19, 15, which is what we get when we are over the floor, is below 19. So this actually means the question, the if is if the light sensor sees the floor, go left. If it doesn't see the floor, it's probably because it's seeing the line. In that case, we need to turn to the right. What value should I use now? A positive number. We need to fix the condition for our while loop if we want this question to constantly repeat itself. So as the robot moves on along the line, it constantly updates its position. To do so, we're going to do a small hack. We're going to take a true value from the data category and snap it to our while loop. By using true as the condition, I'm creating an infinite loop. This loop will go on forever. We are all set to go. The only thing we may need to do is tweak our code, maybe lower the speed or change the steering value. The only risk here is that if we go too fast, we will cross the line and our Jedi mind trick will blow up in our face. Let's try it and see how it goes.